As we say in Texas, as I live and breathe, the pride of Austin, Texas is here.
It's true. I was born in Austin, Texas in 1961.
Oh, cool. But you say you come down to Houston every now and then? I know you have a store
I have
there.
a store in Houston. I have quite a lot of friends in Houston. I haven't been to Houston in a while, but I'm planning a trip in the spring.
Awesome. Well, we'd love to see you down there. Tell me how this story found its way to you.
A friend of mine in the UK, I live in London. I've lived in London for the last 18 years, read this book called Tony and Susan and said, you have to read this book. It's incredible. I think it'd make a great film. I picked it up. I could not put it down. I wasn't sure how I was going to make it into a film because it's a different book than the film that is on the screen. However, the central theme is the same. But I loved it. And I've learned that when you love something and you find a piece of material that someone else hasn't optioned, grab it. So I did. And I let it sit in my head for a couple of years and then wrote the screenplay.
Let's go back to Texas for a little bit because there are Texas elements to the film. I'm in Houston. Actually, I was born in West Texas in El Paso.
You?
Yes,
Where?
sir.
In El Paso.
Yeah. So I want to know how the Texas elements kind of came into the story.
Well, in the book, there are no Texas elements. It's set in the Northeast in 1993 in the world before cell phones. However, our story couldn't happen if you could lock the doors of your car and call for help. So I had to think of a place where theoretically, because this is a fictional story, and we're seeing it in the mind of someone who's reading it. So there are two layers of fiction. So I had to think of where's a place where you theoretically could maybe hit zones where you saw no people and had no cell phone service. And I decided on West Texas. I also believe in write what you know. And having grown up in Texas and Santa Fe, New Mexico, I know that part of the world, West Texas, very well. And so I decided to set the film in West Texas.
Let me ask you about your writing. You love to write. You've said this. Where did all that come from for you growing up?
I think telling a story. I think if you're a good storyteller and you have something that you want to say or you want to express, and you're good with language, and I love language, and I love writing, so I've written, a few screenplays at this point.
You know what this movie reminded me of? This is not even in my notes, but I wanted to mention to you. It's very, very Hitchcockish.
That's a wonderful thing to say.
Really?
Oh my God. I mean, I love Alfred Hitchcock. I think he was a genius. So that's a great thing to say. Thank you.
That just popped into my head. I was like, I'm going to tell him that. Finally, I want to talk about the cast. How proud are you as a director now of what the performances, how everybody did in this film?
Well, I think you have to love your cast. You have to absolutely have a crush on them as a film director. And you have to help them. It's your job to really help them give the best performance they can. Great actors know themselves. They know how to give a good performance. And as a director, you guide them and you steer them and you talk with them about their character, but you also have to give them the space and the freedom to give you their best. And I think every actor in this film, I love their performance.
Fantastic
and I was
performances.
lucky to work with them all.
All right, one more question for you then. Your sense of style, how did you work that into this film?
Well, style for me, believe it or not, is meaningless without substance. So first of all, it's about the story. Then it's about helping the audience understand who these people are and what's happening to them through that layer of style, whether it's clothes, whether it's the set, whether it's Susan's world, which feels very cold and off-putting, very beautiful and slick, but very hard and empty, or Jake's world, which is very visceral and sharp and very gritty. And so style has to relate to substance.